I'll start with an example. You know, when you go into an aeroplane, this is not an example I can use in the township, by the way. When you go into an aeroplane, you pass through first class and end up in economy class. And you take that for granted. Of course, you know, if you're like me, you're a bit envious, but you know your place. So this is the kind of society we live in, where people learn to accept inequality, where inequality is taken for granted, where inequality is normalized. Just as you pass through that business class section and go into the economy section, it's the same with people who live in shacks, in rural villages. They are expected, it's normal for them to have poorer services than people who live in Santin. I think an earlier speaker actually said that hey, if you're in Orange Farm, of course you're going to get a poorer service than the guy who lives in Santin. So, during the struggle against apartheid, the masses of the people, they were able to face big guns, jail, police death squads. Why? Because they were driven by a vision of a different kind of society. They could see it, they could almost smell it, the negation of all the misery and suffering that they were experiencing under apartheid. It is not the case that Nelson Mandela is just a great guy. He symbolized the vision, the dream that people had, that at last we could have a society where all would have enough food, water, houses, jobs, education. So I think that unless you understand that dream and how that hope has been dashed, you won't understand service delivery projects. I think not to imagine what the people feel they have lost, that sense of betrayal will lead us, as we had there, Comrade Yerumo, no, people are protesting because there is development. Of course, there is no development for someone who lives in Orange Farm and lives in a shack. So, I think that water, electricity, healthcare, education, we call them basic services because they are essential to human existence. They are a basic social necessity. They should be provided as an essential public service. They should be universal. And I don't think that it's a mistake that they are found enshrined in our Constitution. I think Comrade Prex Governor will maybe speak about that. They are essential to a genuinely humane, caring, and sharing society. And I think that the fact that this is not happening is what causes service delivery protests. And people have moved from appealing to the government to outright anger and frustration. People are no longer angry that that particular councillor let them down, because every councillor who comes in does the same thing. They are no longer angry that that particular official is corrupt, because every mayor is corrupt. From the bottom up to Inkandla, everyone is corrupt. That is the view of the people. When the president builds himself a house, he builds a town. But we are sitting here in Orange Farm in a shack. So people are starting to get angry and frustrated, not about this or that problem, but about all the problems, about the way things are. And increasingly, people are starting to think that under the ANC government, maybe their lives will never change. So Gert van Holt, I think you quoted him, wrote that research with Lama, saying that when people protest, when they bang the tire, it's the smoke that calls. It calls the mayor. It says, look, come here, pay attention. But I think now, when people bang tires, it's more an attack on a government, on a society, a system which has let them down. And I think that these protests must not be viewed separately from the strikes which are going on. Because the same person who is unemployed, the same worker who has been outsourced at Wits University earning 2,500 a month is the one who cannot afford, a proper house, good quality services. So this problem is a problem which I would say affects the whole working class. I'm not surprised that today you find unions such as NUMSA, indeed even COSATU, before the paralysis with their internal fights, rejecting the National Development Program, National Development Plan, because they feel that, it's more of the same, based on unequal power relations, where the economic elite and the political elite make laws, make policies above the heads of the people and impose them on the people. That is what happened when the RDP was kicked out and GIA took over. Now it is the NDP. The unionists are not clapping hands. They feel it's more of the same. And lastly, I don't think that it's all doom and gloom, because for too long, the grannies of Soweto, of Guguletu, the people who own those council houses, have been standing up, saying, hey, we are suffering. But, the guys in NUMSA, in the NUM, in COSATU, in NATU, we're not really paying attention. Focused on wages, focused on working conditions. But now NUMSA is saying they want to unite the struggle in the workplace with the struggle in the communities. They want to put their shoulder to the wheel of the struggle for service delivery. One union, SAMU, the Municipal Workers Union, had a vision. They said the user of the service must be united with the producer of the service. The same guy who lays your pipe, the same guy who connects your electricity, is the same guy who is suffering with poor services in Orange Farm. So now, that vision which we had during the struggle against apartheid is being revived, being revitalized, where the producer of the service unites with the user of the service, where the people themselves are called in to make decisions about how services should be provided, not as an afterthought, but as an essential part of the process. So myself, I have hope, and I think that the turmoil we are seeing around us in South Africa will bear good fruit. Of course, during the struggle against apartheid, those who were enjoying the fruits of apartheid, they were worried about the turmoil. What's going on? We're going to go the way of Africa. But the people fought, and today we have a democratic society. So that democracy must be extended from the ballot box to the provision of services to, a living wage for all workers. I think that way we're going to have that better life which the dream of Nelson Mandela and all of us, we share. Thank you.